So yeah, let's settle in. Good morning, and it's good to see you all. So today's practice was inspired by something that I observed the other day with the birds. I was looking out my window and just noticing a group of they were the chipping sparrows were there, and there also was my friend, the little Carolina wren, and the mockingbird was around, and the jays were there. Jays don't come by all that often, but the jays were here this day. That's sort of another story for a different day. It was quite active and quite amazing, but I was keying into the chipping sparrows and the wren, and I was trying to put myself in their feet, their talons, and just to experience what that might, or to sense what that might be like. And what came up to me is how keenly aware they are of the sounds, and then certain sounds they weren't, certain sounds they may be left in the background. And so I thought that would be good for us to tap into that a little bit and just let ourselves be the birds for a bit today, to sense, just to notice what we pick up on, what's important to us when we're sitting in their feet and their shoes. So let yourself get settled. We'll stay in our own experience at this moment. So just feel your feet on the ground beneath you, whatever that ground is. If it's the earth beneath your feet, or the wooden floor underneath you, or concrete, whatever it might be. In some fashion, it's something of nature. So let yourself feel that. And just noticing your connection there. The soles of our feet, which carry us. It's one of the first contacts we have with what's coming our way. So as we move forward in the world, the soles of our feet are some of the first sensations that we get as we move. I'm thinking about birds in that way too. We can tap into that as well as we're embodying our bird friend today. So just letting yourself feel that in this moment. And also, while you're allowing yourself to feel that sensation in your feet, start to notice what your body feels like. Notice if there's any tension anywhere. Just become aware of how you're holding your shoulders. And don't change it just yet. It's really interesting to observe. So, noticing if your jaw is tense or is it more loose. And your belly, can tap into your belly. Is it feeling full and content right now? Maybe a little gurgly and hungry. Just whatever comes to your awareness. Any openness and sensations of love or beauty or joy in your body. See if you can find at least one place in your body that feels just lovely right now. Good work. Take a nice deep breath. And if you want to shift your posture or anything else that you might have become aware of and realizing, oh, I don't necessarily want to sit that way, or whatever it might be, you can do that now. Maybe you want to soften your jaw or your belly, wiggle your toes a little bit. Now, as we settle into ourselves, start to listen for your heartbeat. For some of you, it might be a little easier to hear your breath first. So you can start with your breath if you want to. And then as you progress with your breath, go ahead and start to see if you can hear your heartbeat. And maybe you can't hear it, but you can feel it. Can you feel your heartbeat and the blood moving in your body? What a magic thing that happens in our bodies every day, all the time. So now, if your eyes are closed, you can keep them closed. We'll start with our ears first. So just tapping into the sounds that you're hearing around you right now. Just noticing if there's a sound that's particularly pleasing, let yourself key into that first. And if that wasn't the most prominent sound, see if you can find what the loudest, we'll say the loudest sound in your environment right now. What is that one? Just become aware of it. Now start to sink in a little bit softer to the quieter, more subtle voices, quieter, more subtle sounds, just listening for where they are in the landscape. And then see if you can stretch your sense of hearing out beyond this bubble that we often have where we listen to our immediate surroundings quite often. So see how far you can stretch your hearing right now. How far away can you listen? And for everyone, that's going to be a unique experience. So whatever is far for you is perfect. Okay, good. Now, if your eyes were closed, you can gently open them and find a point off in the distance to focus your eyes on. And as your gaze finds that point, then as if your gaze was a little droplet of water in what you're looking at right now, and all of a sudden these little ripples are going to go out further and further and further. Let your vision do that. So you're going to stay focused on where that droplet dropped into that little pond in front of you. And then you're going to expand your vision out further and further, softening as you go. Just notice what starts to happen and what you become aware of that maybe you weren't just a few moments ago. And just see if there's any sort of blind spots, any spots where you might just resist stretching into, and allow yourself to expand your vision into that place right now. So sometimes for some people it's the area beneath us, the area lower than us. Hi, Julia. And for some people it's above us. It could be maybe to your right or left, but just see where that area is. Where is the place that's maybe it's a little bit hard to stretch into? Just see if you can nudge yourself a little bit there. Good work. So today with our practice, Julia, we're going to be embodying a bird. So what I want you all to do right now is think of a bird. Maybe some of you are actually seeing it right now. It's sort of, I would say, don't watch a specific bird because it'll maybe distract you from the exercise, of course, unless it's really awesome and you just want to watch it. But think of a bird that you've seen recently in your yard or wherever you happen to be right now. What's a bird that frequents there? Just let yourself bring that into your mind for a moment. Remember where it was, what it was doing. So I'll give you a moment to do that right now. great. And so once you have your bird in mind, I'm going to send you off on a journey with that bird or as that bird. So what I want you to do right now is as the bird, look around your yard and see where the nearest source of food is for you. So where would you go to eat right now? And what I'm going to be asking you to do is to focus on finding this food, but I'm also going to key you into other sensations that the birds are often tapped into. Or we're just going to explore it. We're going to play together with this and see what we discover. So right now, look around your yard, find that place where you think that bird would go to eat, and just bring your eyes there, bring your attention there. And now I want you to look around. If it's a tree, go explore the bark. Go find that insect. Or if it's on the ground, flip over some leaves. See how that feels. How does that feel on your beak? How does that feel in your feet? So I'm gonna let you just play with that. I really want you to focus on finding the food though. That's your goal. It's your intention right now. You're hungry. You need to get yourself some energy. In most places it's cold or chilly. So you definitely need to eat today. So we'll let ourselves look for food right now. And as you're looking around, go ahead and just notice how often you're looking up and looking around you. Are you simply focused on the food and looking at the food, or are you maybe looking around for something else to eat? Or not just something else to eat, but someone else who might want to eat you. And next, notice the sounds around you. So I want you just to see what sounds are you starting to key into, and which sounds do you just allow to become background noise? And I have to go check on something, so I'll be right back. Good work. So now I want you to think about when you arrived this morning on this land, did you arrive alone? Or were you with some friends or maybe a partner? And if you were with anyone else, where are they right now? And can you hear them? Are you listening for them? And then continue to look around and see if anyone else is around you. Are there any other bird relatives around you? Any other cousins or other ones that might not be related? Where are they? Are they on the ground near you? Are they up in the tree? Just notice who else is around, kind of how far away they are, how near. When was the last time that you looked up in the sky to see who might be flying overhead? What are you noticing about the weather? Is there anything that you might want to key into? Do you need to pay attention to the weather in any regard right now? And how long are you going to stay in this one spot before you move on, before you shift to another location? And if you do decide to move to another location, where are you going to go? How far away or how near? And are you going to ask anyone to come with you? Do you have a desire or a need to sing right now or make any other sounds yourself? Now, for the next few minutes, just let yourself feel. So, just going to let ourselves be that bird wherever you are right now, whatever you're hearing or seeing. And just let yourself feel into the experience of being that bird. So, we're going to be quiet for a little while. Now, all of a sudden, not too far away, you can start to hear some jays calling, and they're coming closer. And then one of them lands up in a tree very near to you, and you can hear the other ones not too far away. How do you respond when the jays come nearer and they're calling? Just notice, how much have you eaten today? So, with all the other jobs that you've had since you've been out here, how much have you actually gotten to eat? Do you need more? And where would you go for that? So now let's all just go up to a tree, find a nice, safe place to sit. And we're just going to take in the world around us, allowing yourself to preen, knowing that you're content in this moment and you're feeling at peace. And so you're going to clean your feathers for a little while. And before we close your time as this bird, is there anything else you're curious about? Anything else you're wondering from the vantage point of your bird friend right now? Just let yourself see, just ask the question, is there anything else I can learn today? Is there anything else you want to reveal to me? Just see what comes. Okay, good work. So take the next couple of minutes to offer gratitude to your bird friend that you connected with today, and also to any other ones that you might have come in contact with along your journey as a bird. Good work, y'all. Well, thanks for playing today. So, as always, if you need to go, you're welcome to head out. And thank you for joining. And if you want to stay and share your experience, I'd love to hear from folks. I was curious how many of the, I guess, the actions that you took were, and maybe even the sounds you either made or heard, how many were instinctive and how many were just, how many were instinctive, like you just kind of did them, and then how many were conscious, like you had to like think about paying attention to this thing or being aware of that thing or where you're going to go to get food? How many were just like you just did it? That's something you can answer, but also if there's anything else you want to share from your experience, then please do, and just go ahead and raise your hand and let me know, and I'll call on whoever wants to share. Yeah, and go for it.
Well, I was a tough to titmouse because I could hear him, but the the ill-mannered, rude starlings are here. So that was my biggest concern today. They were, making noise and they're messy and they're just rude. And that's who I had to pay attention to today. Was they were, if I got my seed, I had to take it to another place to eat it because they would come in and they were going to bother me anyway. So I had to go and find someplace else. And they, sometimes I didn't understand them because they sound like a blue jay or a red-winged blackbird and it's not there. And they're just confusing. So I didn't like the starlings.
Yeah, I can understand. You don't have your feeder all to yourself anymore. Yeah,
Right. And they
yeah.
poop on it. They poop on it. And that's just
Oh,
rude.
darn
It's
that.
rude. Just rude.
So rude. Awesome. Thanks, Anne. That's great. Who else would like to share their experience? Yeah, Claudia, please.
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting because, well, this morning I'm hearing more bird song than I have for a long time. It's just very overcast. It's supposed to start raining heavily. I mean, like right now it's supposed to have, but hasn't yet. But anyway, a lot of birds out, but there were none in my yard that I could see. Just they were all over somewhere else. But I was hearing a lot of different birds. And so when you had us pick a bird, I thought, well, the ones I see most are the little house finches. And so I was a little female house finch. And of course, this lady has these neat feeders. And of course, she would come to the feeder, but also there's sometimes in the garden, there's some interesting seeds. So down on the ground a little bit. But when I was at the feeder, if anybody else came, especially those males, I had to chase them off because I'm just very sassy. I'm just going to chase those away. But anyway, so I was going through all of this, and all of a sudden, a little flock of house finches. Of course, the chances are pretty good that would happen anyway. But all of a sudden, there were a little flock of house finches, and it was a male that came to the feeder. But anyway, just sitting there, and the one I decided, oh, that's me, because she was sitting there preening. So it was fun.
Claudia, that's awesome. I love that story. I love when we can sort of embody that or envision that, and then we get to
And
watch them. We get to like
yeah,
make it happen, you know? Yeah, that's so rad. I love that. Um, for me, one thing I know is I was the cardinal. That's just who came to me right away. I was the male cardinal. And right when I started feeding, I noticed how I couldn't focus on feeding as much. I was like, I really wanted to know where my girl was because I think a lot of you probably know, but cardinals stay paired up like all year long. And so I was really keyed into where she was. And I was also just super aware. I think of them as like always being like keyed into everybody, everything that's going on. They're just sort of like, I don't know if I think of them as the maestro, but they're just they're more like the bodyguard or something like that. You know what I mean? They're just like they know where everybody is and what's happening. And so I was like, gosh, I'm not eating that much. Like I'm just really like focusing. And so I had to like get myself to like eat again, you know, because I was like just content or like tapping into like everyone else around me. It's like, wow, I couldn't even like focus on like the job of eating right away. Yeah. All right. Who else would like to share?
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Funny with
just,
the
could I just add to that? When I was eating at first, I was just going along and I was just paying attention to what I was eating. And then you said something and I realized, oh, I should be watching out for those hawks or, whoever else might come and want to eat me. And anyway, I hadn't even thought of that at first, and I don't know why not, but I hadn't. I was just well, that's me. I'm focused on eating.
I understand. Yeah, well, good job. Good job keying into the hawks or the necessity to listen for that. Yeah. Who else would like to share their experience? Julia, go for it.
Well, I had a question come up. I had noticed Carolina wren early this morning, kind of, oh, there it is, at the base of a tree. It's kind of unusual for it to be down that low, seems to me. And so, but there are bird feeders kind of above it. So, there could be some seed on the ground or something like that. And what I wondered then, if birds can identify other birds that might have been coming into the feeder or coming in by the sound of their wings, by the sound of their flight, and if they can discern whether, don't worry about them, or there's somebody that's, I don't want to mess with. Um, I don't usually notice Carolina wrens at the feeder with with the others. There are some that will coexist, and then there are others that have to dominate, but it seems like the wrens kind of don't visit feeders in packs, with their friends or birds of another feather, as a matter of fact. But I also, now love is in the air here, that when you mentioned blue jays, this red-shouldered hawk came right, and he's calling, and I hear one in the distance. And so there's some conversation going on here, and with woodpeckers too. I notice now some conversation going on, which is kind of cool. So I can tell the difference between the sound of a great heron's wing and a hummingbird, but how attuned are birds to the sound of the flight sounds of other birds, I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's a great question to ponder. And I think what came up for me when you asked the question was the times that I've spent, in the wilderness. Not so, I've never done like a survival trip necessarily, but, been out there camping for a while or just where there's no other people around and you're just really in the zone and you start to tap in more and more. And so I always think of, when the birds are, that's what they do. That's where they are 24/7. They're outside. They have to be aware of all these sounds and know things on a really heightened level, different from how we need to currently. I think too, like if we still had saber-toothed tigers and the giant cave bears and all those kinds of things around, like we would be so much more attuned to sounds and subtleties around us, that we don't have to be so much anymore. And so I think the birds, still being wild animals, um, they are aware of those kind of subtleties. And I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that they can, because we did an exercise like this like a year or so ago, I think, during the bird sit with you all, and someone, either I don't know if it was the focus of it or someone brought it up, that they actually, we had our eyes closed and they had a feeder and they could hear the flutter of the bird's wings going back, and they could start to figure out like, oh, that's the wren's wings and that's this one's wings. So that could be a fun exercise for you. Like if you just want to chill out one day, sit not too far from your feeder, or if you know that there's like a tree they go back to, put yourself kind of in the middle and just close your eyes. And when one flies over, try and make a guess. First, try to make the guess. That's what I would advise. Before you look, first try to guess at who it is, then open your eyes and see, because there's something that happens when we start to do the work, when our brain does the work to try to figure it out versus just getting the answer. And so try to figure it out on your own first, and then open your eyes and just see if you can start to notice anything that's like different in each of their wings, and just start with a couple birds, just start with one or two, or maybe even just get to know one. But I love that question. I love that idea of exploring that. I think that's just such a cool thing to think about. And I saw that, I think it was Claudia mentioned that. She's like, what a cool question. So right on, Julia. Thanks so much. Sweet. Anyone else want to share their experience? Y'all good? Okay, one thing I did want to say that I haven't said in a while, and I want to make sure that I do. These are always free. The bird sets are free. And for those of you who do contribute, I want to thank you so much, because it really does make a difference. Every little bit helps, and it just means a lot. And I don't always say thank you, so I just want to say thank you so much for your contributions. And it's just, yeah, it's just really wonderful. So thank you. And it was just awesome. This was really fun to learn from all of you today. And so thanks for that. And it's really nice to see some sun in places that's been kind of chilly and cold. So I'm glad you all are having some sunny days today. Some of you, not everyone. I see Joy's still bundled up in darkness. Yeah. But light will come soon. And Della, I hope you get your power back on soon, and hope I'll see you tonight. Hope you'll still have enough electricity in your device to come. And otherwise, thank you all so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kristi. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.